Everybody's found a tree somewhere that they want to be. But first they got to shut up. There she is. Right.
This was a really smart piece. Just brilliant writing, direction, performance. Certainly, all the filmmaking elements just came together and made this really fascinating piece. Draws you in right away. Just the making of the YouTube bit, I thought itself was so strong. It's a catchy tune, actually. Really, really smartly done. Definitely explores the grief in such a just compelling way. You're just right there with him and just really enjoying it in a way that's almost sadistic, because it's just that entertaining. It definitely would try to appear like this sort of simple, candid, shot on a phone kind of piece, but there's a lot of thoughtful filmmaking sensibility behind this. Just really strong. Again, I really just enjoyed it through and through. Couldn't recommend this one enough, and that's an understatement.
This one was really interesting. It was kind of dark. It was kind of psychological, a little bit creepy. We get to follow along in the life of this man who is very lonely, very isolated, and is kind of just doing what he can to get through his days. And he has this routine that he does every single day. And when that routine is disrupted, things start to go awry. And there's a disembodied voice coming from the vent who is manipulative and I don't think a good guy. But it had a really heartwarming ending, which I love, that he was reunited with his fuzzy friend Matt, and he finally had a friend to perform his show with him and complete his show. But another thing that I thought that they did really well was world building. Even though we never really left his apartment or apartment building, we knew that it wasn't in present day. And there was something going on in the outside world that we were not privy to, but we understood enough that we bought in to, we accepted what this world was and what was going on. So I thought they did a really good job of building an external world without actually having to show us anything outside of these, people in hazmat suits. So anyways, great job, super creative, and really, really different. And I like that a lot. So great job.
Lighter approach to the topic. However, it still comes across as very morbid once you realize what Quincy's going through. And you see him just very content to live out each day, wasting away and pretending to make the intro to that sitcom. And obviously there were a lot of real world parallels as well in this, when they talked about spontaneous combustion and seeing Quincy living within his own confines. I mean, that line, stay 10 feet apart and wear a government-approved hazmat suit, made me die a little inside. Not gonna lie, but he tries to build relationships with objects, like the voice he hears inside the vents, and other people, in this case the dog. And so it all comes together very nicely in the end. And I'm glad to see that he got a happy ending, since that's not the case for everyone that goes through grief like this.
Dark comedy drama about grief that takes place in sort of a near future society that's going through a pandemic of spontaneous combustion. I absolutely loved this short film, and I think that it just goes to show that it takes a special kind of genius to make so much of so little space, and also that you just really don't need a ridiculously high budget in order to make something that can be really powerful. It was such a fun story. Really confusing at times, but I still felt very satisfied by the end of it. I felt like all my questions were answered, and the ones that were left, I'd rather not have answered. It was such a well-crafted world, really well acted. The lead absolutely carried this, and it was so fun to see him and his sort of David Bowie vent ghost go through the motions of living in isolation and dealing with grief. It was really fun and very weird, and I'm going to be looking out for these filmmakers because what they're doing is inspiring.
I just need to address the fact that I was terrified that I was terrified that he was going to spontaneously combust at the end. So wait for the dog. Before I get into it, I do want to first say that I feel like the whole concept of spontaneously combusting was I personally feel like it was a very ingenious thing, because it's a dark comedy, and you set up the rules, and spontaneous combustion, I hope, doesn't happen in real life, but this was supposed to be a metaphor for any kind of death. And we all deal with death in a different way, and sometimes one of the ways we deal with it is to, I wouldn't try to say forget about it, but repress it. Try to follow a routine, do anything to not think about it. And I think Wait for the Dog definitely shows that. Trying to cloud out that pain that comes with death, until it rips you right back in when you experience it again. I mean, his entire routine was shattered because the lady upstairs spontaneously combusted. That's our new word for death, spontaneously combusting. And it forced him to realize eventually everyone's gonna spontaneously combust, but we can't let it destroy ourselves. Make the most of your life before you spontaneously combust.
Unsettling, and that's a good thing, I think, because it really pushes the necessary buttons to make you think about grief and the bonds and connections we make, whether they are to other people, to objects, to animals. This is very much a piece about relationships, and the idea of spontaneous combustion is not just explored on a literal level, but also on a kind of spiritual and internal one, how we combust within ourselves, maybe mentally, and have to kind of put the pieces back together slowly but surely. So it's a very moving piece altogether.